So take this with a grain of salt. And I may have spelled it wrong. Who knows? Phonetics could be a factor in this, bullshit either way. The topmost result's going to tell you that teleos relates to forbid, plus the suffix os. The other one's going to tell you, where did I just see it? This one down here is going to tell you end, purpose, or goal. Is there anything else that jumps out? And these are superficial Google searches, so take them with a grain of salt. But this is something that's being shopped around on the DARPA internet.
There's an ancient concept so profound it changes everything we thought we knew about existence. It's called teleos, and it holds a secret to your divine purpose. From ancient wisdom, teleos means the fulfillment of purpose, the achievement of that which you were divinely created.
Really?
It begins with three, the divine trinity of creation itself. The father principle of mentalism, all is mind, thoughts create reality. The
That's
mother
wrong.
principle of vibration, all is energy, dancing in eternal motion. And the child principle of correspondence, as above, so below, bridging heaven and earth. Through the Fibonacci sequence of creation.
Did you see the bullshit globe theory propaganda? I did.
And the child principle of correspondence, as above, so below, bridging heaven and earth.
Bullshit!
The Fibonacci sequence of creation, this trinity expands from unity through polarity to the first harmonic of three, then to four, where the divine pattern grounds into form. But watch what happens next. At six, something magical occurs. The masculine and feminine triangles of creation merge.
Before we get to that, do you like that? We're talking about 3, 6, and 9, but then they just were like, oh yeah, and there's 4. We're not going to talk about anything else, but we'll talk about 3, 6, and 9 and just slap in 4. Our masters are laughing at us. There's a reason why 22,000 people have reposted this garbage. And this is fucking stupid shit, by the way. And 56,000 have clicked the heart sigil because they're dumber than a bag of meat.
Of mentalism.
Assume what you will.
Thoughts create reality. The mother principle of vibration.
Oh, by the way, mind is 2. Magnitude is 3. And you would know this if you looked up what's been available to us since ancient Greece existed.
You were divinely created. It begins with 3, the divine trinity of creation itself. The father principle of mentalism, all is mind, thoughts create reality. The mother principle of vibration, all is energy, dancing in eternal motion. And the child principle of correspondence, as above, so below, bridging heaven and earth. Through the Fibonacci sequence of creation, this trinity expands from unity through polarity to the first harmonic of 3, then to 4, where the divine pattern grounds into form. But watch what happens next. At 6, something magical occurs. The masculine and feminine triangles of creation merge into sacred union. The divine fire meets divine water, forming a Merkaba. Where giving and receiving dance in perfect balance. This is where you discover your unique.
They call it a Merkaba. I mean, they could call it an icosahedron, but they don't tell you what the fuck it is. And I've left that answer online numerous times over. And it is profound when you start thinking in terms of it. When you understand what it is and why our masters use it. It's the fucking sigil of Walmart, for fuck's sake. Because our masters understand something you're not supposed to. I've mentioned Dan Brown one too many times and Freemasonic horse shit too many times. Dan Brown's The Blade and the Chalice, same thing. Or what's the other one? The Compass and the Square, same thing. And you're not supposed to understand it. I've complained about people who don't understand what the peace symbol is. You know, the peace sigil? It's part of that. It's broken. Because it is the cross of Nero. People will argue otherwise if you challenge them. It is the end of man. But people will argue otherwise if you challenge them, and I've documented that numerous times over. It's part of this. Not as a whole. It's polarizing shit. And most people don't realize that. Now, I love by this point in the video, they skip over 5. Let me just jump to 6. Yeah, we're talking about 3, 6, and 9. But we're still working with a limited set, which means it's just as good as taking something out of context anytime you hear a fucking dumb cunt out there waxing poetic about some granola 3, 6, and 9. Have you ever heard of the stuff that Tesla allegedly said? Here's the quote, kinda, because it's been paraphrased too one too many times and bastardized. Back to point.
At 6, something magical occurs. The masculine and feminine triangles of creation merge into sacred union. The divine fire meets divine water, forming the Merkaba, where giving and receiving dance in perfect balance. This is where you discover your unique place in God's plan.
Aww.
Then 7 emerges, where personal purpose transforms into universal wisdom.
Now there's 7.
Becomes we, and your consciousness expands to embrace all the universal laws. Finally, 9, the Trinity.
We're not going to talk about 8, though.
And begin anew. Here, Teleos achieves its ultimate expression.
But we're going to call it Teleos again.
Fully aligns with your universal consciousness. This is the living mathematics of spiritual evolution itself.
Is it?
From Trinity to completion, from individual spark to universal flame. Thank you.
Completion is 10. I don't think they talk about 10 in this video either. And that's something else you would know too if you went back and you appreciated what the ancients left the masses.
We, and your consciousness expands to embrace all the universal laws. Finally, 9, the Trinity squared, where all cycles complete and begin anew. Here, Teleos achieves its ultimate expression, where your individual purpose fully aligns with your universal consciousness. This is the living mathematics of spiritual evolution itself. From Trinity to completion, from individual spark to universal flame. Thank you, and I love you. There's an ancient...
And it's a big rubbery one anytime I hear some stranger on the internet say, I love you. Fucking horse shit. Let's do this too, because these Muppets are talking to me. I complained at this guy because he's shopping around nigga boards. Usually won't hear me say that because I frown on that. It marginalizes people. It's counterproductive. But this is this moron's quote-unquote brand. So I said that it was lame, and I said a few other things, and he's trying to stand up for his company. And the reason we're on Chessboard Books right now is because, oh, look at the top one. My profile image on there is not what it should be, is it? That's curious. He came to this account and shit on this account, which usually people don't do, but I was complaining the other day that most people don't use the link in my primary account to go anywhere and do things. And ironically, this guy did, which cracks me up. So we've had a few interactions. I'm trying to figure out, where's my primary account? Where's the initial interaction? Is it at the bottom of the stack? Maybe. I wonder how many are in here, though. Let's see, and I gotta go check something in the stove. Might have glossed over it. It'd be neat if it told us how many are in here, so that this isn't a fool's errand, trying to find the bottom of the stack when there is no bottom of the stack, so to speak. Not in a timely fashion. All right, maybe I'll give up on that and come back to it. Either way, I don't see my primary account, but I do see the Chessboard Books, which is telling, and it also jives with, if I didn't gloss over it, what I've been telling you guys about me being censored. I was kind of hoping to be able to show you it. Oops. Hey, look! There it is. I'm at the very bottom. That's why we started interacting. I also said lame on here. Is it this one? And why does, I don't know what SYBAU is. I mean, in my mind, it makes me laugh. He keeps saying that, but I have no idea what that means. I feel like he can't spell Subaru. That's what I first thought of. Either way. What I wrote on here is, you don't see me running around saying gringos every 5 words. You and I would be better off if people used the brain between their ears. Fuck this noise. Because it's garbage. It's fucking garbage. I'm glad I found that, just so you guys could see it, you know, in real time. And how many people are going to shuffle all the way down and even think about that? No one's going to do that for the most part. And these might be at the top of the stack simply because this is the profile that I'm logged into right now. I have noticed that. If I go back to my primary account, those comments sometimes will be at the top of the stack, but it varies between accounts, which means it's absolutely arbitrary. But then again, patently fascist tactics certainly are. Just that. But what the fuck do I know? Either way, this is just me and him going back and forth. When I jumped into this account today, let me move this thing. I saw notifications. So he said, why did you, or he said something to the effect of, you're still thinking about us or some shit like that. So I wrote him and I told him that there were notifications, and that's what he's responding to. I mean, this is good for him either way, because he has interaction, on his account, which will, promote his account most likely. Personally, I frown on this. He's got 11,000 people buying into this shit, literally. But, as always, I mean, what do I know? I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to get people to use the brain between their ears, because if you and I did, by extension, things would be better off. It would be beneficial to you and I if you actually thought about it. And it would promote a harmonious system, in stark contrast to all routine being ritual and primarily speaking, perpetuating more dog shit, disharmonious nonsense, conquer and divide, and or just flat out stupidity. This is something a stupid person does, in my humble opinion. I don't think anything fluffy and good, and I don't see this as something that an intelligent person would consciously perpetuate or rattle off. I really don't. I don't. I mean, when I was trucking around the big island of Hawaii, I wouldn't say howly this or howly that. I wouldn't bastardize the word in a different way and then assume that it means something good, as if I owned it suddenly. If I changed the spelling, it still means something that quite literally knocks an entire race of people, which is why I frown on it. But this guy's got such a steep learning curve, he hasn't figured that much out, so he keeps barking at me. And again, this is his livelihood. He'd have to change his entire fucking operation. I mean, how much money has he poured into shopping around this propaganda, this dog shit? How many people out there do you hear rattle this shit off without thinking about it? It's also been weaponized in a big way, having to do with back when gangster rap was hijacked, mid-90s, roughly early 90s, technically speaking. And it was for no other reason than to, dumb people down, shit things out, and corrupt something that was pretty neat. Hip-hop was pretty cool for like a week. It was pretty cool. And it had a lot of potential. And the moment people realized that the good stuff was no longer marketable, it wasn't something that they would make money on, they stopped doing that, and they bought into gangsta rap and other shit like that. And that's how it works. Same thing, you can apply what I just said to how people operate on the internet. How many people talk about content? How many people talk about being an influencer? How many people bought into the fucking jargon instead of thinking about it? You don't hear people bringing up things like that because that's all in place to pave the way for social credit slavery. It's no different than this. Dumbing people down, shitting out a product, and quite literally marginalizing you and I both. Because by extension, this is a symbiotic system. So these kids shopping this dog shit around does affect you and I. You'll hear people talk about the butterfly effect and other garbage, here and there, but they don't think about it. Not in terms of, as many things as humanly possible, what they interact with daily. They don't think about how there are ramifications to these actions, theirs and others. Hopefully you guys know what I mean. I'm preaching at the moment. I mean, well, I want to help people. Technically, I think that I have and I can, but it begins and ends with me at the point where it's up to you to think about it. And if you are incapable and or unwilling to think for yourself, it goes nowhere. If you're just going to assume a bunch of other pointless shit, it goes nowhere. It means nothing, and it is fuck all. Simple as that. All right, what the fuck do I know? And obviously, I must be wrong, right?